Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are playing Planet Zoo. We are doing the first exhibit in the Twisting Taiga Zoo that we started last week. And I decided I wanted to do red pandas first, because why not? And I wanted to start off with an animal that I really liked and I hadn't really ever done before. I also really wanted to try my hand at like waterfall features and trying the idea of sinking the exhibit down versus having it be like at path level. I haven't done a whole lot of sinking the landscape actually down. Most of anything like that, I've done the paths like over the exhibits, and I haven't done that in that way. So I just wanted to do something a little different. And then I wanted to try like creating this fantastic like waterfall feature. I had this idea in my head and I was on a waterfall kick, okay? And you're gonna notice that there's multiple exhibits with waterfalls because all of them needed waterfalls. So it just needed waterfalls, alright? Everything needed waterfalls. And I had this idea of like creating the climbing posts and stuff over it so it was all accessible, and letting the animals really like go through it. I'm realizing at this point when I reload it like how big how big but not big this area was. So I wanted it to be different, and I didn't really know how to incorporate like the path buildings, and I haven't done a whole lot of like the null barriers either. So that was something I was really trying to work out as well, was, you know, how do I go about creating a natural looking space for these red pandas, but also make it not a complete and total nightmare for me to try and do, right? And then my one regret with these pathing systems is that I chose to do a 4-meter path. I don't know why I chose to do a 4-meter path, but I chose to do a 4-meter path, and that very quickly came around to bite me in the butt. So my thinking was, I'm splitting it, and it's kind of like a circle around the exhibit, so that the people could go through and see like either the cave side or they could walk over the top. And I guess I just wanted it to work better in my head, but I chose to do 4-meter paths because I did one side 4 meters and then the other side needed to be 4 meters, and it was just and I chose to dig out the area so that I could actually see the path that I was creating underground. I contemplated trying to tunnel, but I have had terrible luck in the past with that nonsense. So I thought, oh, you know what, I'll do what I did with some of the other areas where I will like create the rocks on top of it and not worry so much about the terrain. And then I wanted to create like this river that led into the exhibit, but I'm not gonna lie, I wasted a lot of time trying to make this work, and I feel like I probably could if I had a better grasp on the water mechanics, but the water mechanics is just a little on the goofy side. And then you add a path to the mix, and the path mechanics are a little on the goofy side, and it was not feeling me. It was not having it. It was having no part of me or my shenanigans. It did not want to do what I wanted it to do. You can't put glass through a path. No. It just said no. It might be doable what you're doing, but not in this way. So the other thing too I went heavy on is caves and cave viewing. Previously, I've relied very heavily on like pre-made structures and like even rock caves and stuff and shelters for the animals, and I didn't really want to do that in this zoo. I wanted it to be more of a natural type of landscaping, right? I didn't want a ton of artificial nonsense in the exhibit. And then I spent a fair chunk of time trying to figure out how I wanted the staff gate to work. Because you can do null barriers all you damn well want, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to figure out a staff gate, and you're gonna have to be able to let the staff actually, like, get to the red pandas. Like, if the staff can't get there, like, they'll tell you about it. They'll let you know. They're a pain in the butt. So the wooden fence was what I had initially wanted, but between climbable and jumpable and things of that nature, I just wanted to try and see if I could use the wall and see what I could do in that respect. And trying to figure this all out, it was a kind of a hot mess. So this does not stay the way it is. I'll tell you right now, it's not how it ends up looking. I am also slowly starting to realize how big of a monstrosity I have created, how big this hole in the ground is. I don't know why my hole into the ground is so big, but it is. And trying to figure out the best way to get staff down there was a pain in the butt. And then the heat maps don't like to update the best. You kind of have to hit play for them to update, really, and I didn't realize that at first, so it was kind of where some of the struggle was coming in. And I wanted to create like these wooden steps for them to go down, and then that didn't work. And realistically, like, I probably could have figured out a way to make it work had I like actually checked the staff path the right way. So then I couldn't get this terrain to come back. This terrain did not want to come back into the whole being level nonsense. It wanted to stay right where it was. And I was just like, I spent so much time playing with the terrain, and this staff gate should not be this frustrating. And then I was like, what if I create like a rock way down? Like, rocks work. Like, animals are always climbing on the freaking rocks. I don't know why I thought that would work. I have no idea. I mean, it might work. I don't know. I didn't check the thing correctly. So then I was just like, oh, well, let's just put the gate down here. We'll call that good, right? And then now I have to make I still have a problem, but now I could create a path down there, because I did not want to put a path inside the exhibit. Absolutely not. I wanted to put a path on the outside. So then I was like, if I put the gate down instead of up, I can create the path up, right? And I can hide the path. I can put rocks and nonsense over it a lot easier than I can hide however I managed to finagle the red panda. Like, it was gonna make it a lot easier to do it this way. Sometimes I have moments of brilliance. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I struggle. Sometimes I am a hot mess and struggle boss it. But I figured it out this time. All on my lonesome. No, not really. I've watched a lot of tutorials and things with like terrain and exhibit placements and examples, and I think one of the best things for me personally, I'm not saying for everybody, is just watching or seeing other builds. And I love the speed builds. It kind of helps me see how people do different things, and it helps me see like how they group things together and move things around. And then I like the tutorials and stuff, because there are quite a few people that go into like how they actually are moving the different things with like mouse buttons instead of like that, like doing that. I made a group of rocks. Like, if you've seen my safari zoo, you'll know that I'm not the greatest at making a group, and that was something it took me a lot of like thought process to do. Like, it was not a natural instinct for the longest time to like, oh, okay, I have to cover this entire wall with rocks. I can make a group of rocks and stagger those. And you can see kind of here, I fell back into that habit of individually placing all the rocks and not grouping them. And I could have easily grabbed that group I was working with earlier and swung it around this way. And I don't know why I didn't think about it. I was doing a different wall. So in my head, I was thinking, oh, different wall, different rocks. Like, so I do still have some improvement to do. Obviously, there's always improvements to be made, but I'm getting better noticeably. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, even though this is a ridiculous exhibit, right? This is asinine how large it is for these red pandas. I love it. And honestly, this exhibit probably would work for several other animals as well. You might have to watch the escapee, but it's definitely worth. I love it. I love this habitat. I love this habitat. It's probably so far one of the favorite ones I've ever built. I even went so far as like doing the climbing frames and stuff, and like, yeah, you see a couple of the pre-built ones here. But I ended up, when I put the trees and stuff in, I ended up like connecting with like some of the climbing posts and things and logs, and it was an interesting, time consuming, because that's not something I'm used to doing. But they needed a lot more climbing space when I first put them in there. And you can see like it's just an insane amount of space for these two red pandas. And actually I realized like the two red pandas were a weird number to have, because they would if they were on opposite ends of the habitat, they would complain about being lonely. So I ended up putting in 2 more red pandas, another male and another female. So occasionally, if they're all bunched up together, they complain about having too many of them. But when they're spread out, which is the ultimate goal, then they are happy little campers. So I tried to spread out the toys, the climbing frames. I tried to encourage them to spread out. I had put the bedding in the cave to kind of get them interested in going over there if they wanted to lay down in the bed. And then it was decoration time, and I actually saved the trees and plants and stuff to last, to kind of give myself the opportunity to have the toys and stuff in there and see where those would fit. Sometimes I do trees first, sometimes I do toys first. It's whatever. I've learned that trees last works a lot better than trees first. Trees are very much a sight blocker. Especially some of these little darlings need quite a bit of foliage. But I also had this idea of like just letting the red pandas cross this huge lake that I had made and like having them almost eye level with the people path. So you can see here, like I'm lining it up a bit. Like it didn't have to be perfect, but I wanted that difference in elevation. I wanted people to be able to see these red pandas just climbing across their terrain and just going from area to area. And I connected it to climbable trees so they could climb up the trees. And I know the animals climb up the trees because I've had quite a few bears up the trees in some of my other zoos. So I love the red pandas. I love this habitat. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing I've done so far. General maintenance, I noticed things were a little wonky and I tried to fix them. I didn't just leave them for later. I tried to fix things as I saw them. So yeah, I've got the 4 red pandas. So sometimes they complain about being too close to each other. Sometimes they are fine with it. And I'm trying to be fairly thorough with this zoo, like I was with the safari zoo, where as we're going, we complete things along the way. And I've been really inspired with this one. I don't know if it's just the Taiga Biome in general, or just that happens to be what my brain is hyperfixated on, or what. But I wanted to make it nice. I wanted to decorate it. I wanted to kind of hide away the staff area, even though it's far enough away from the main path. I didn't really need to hide it. It wasn't giving off negative effects at all, but it's nice to not see it. And when you think about a real zoo, like, I didn't want this to have a traditional, like, zoo-y feel. Like, I kind of wanted it to feel like you were going on a hike through the mountains. Obviously, we can't accomplish that through all of it. It does have to feel a little, I'm going to say, touristy in places. So yeah, the red pandas are here and happy, and now we're decorating the outside. I think I did all the work inside their exhibit. I might have adjusted some of the climbing logs and things as we're going, but for the most part now it's just decorating the outside. And making it kind of pretty and fun and interesting, and I didn't want it. Yes, I leave that side blank for the most part, and that's because I want it to be a circle, right? In my head, I have an idea for how the zoo is laid out. There may or may not be, not in this video. I don't think it's in this video. It'll probably be in some of the other videos though, where I go on a terraining chair and I build a little mountain. And we're literally going on a hike through the mountains. That's my plan for the zoo. And it'll be like a circle or a loop, and you go through the red pandas and up and around and back down and past. I don't know what's last. I haven't finished the zoo yet, obviously. I've only done a handful of the animals as of recording this voiceover. I've done the red pandas, the Siberian tigers, the Formosan black bears, the giant pandas. Yeah, that's what I started the zoo off with. Talk about an obnoxious 4 starting animals. And then I did the Japanese macaques. I don't actually know how to say that word. And then I'm gonna do the llamas, snow leopards, grizzly bears, the Himalayan brown bear, the Arctic wolf, the gray wolf, are all Taiga Biome animals. I might be missing one in there. So yeah, like I think I mentioned in the entrance video, I just want to do Taiga Biome animals. So even if they're like Taiga and tundra or Taiga and temperate, like they'll be included. I just wanted anything that had Taiga in it. So yeah, I did end up adding some more climbing frames just to give them more ways to get from point A to point B to point C. I really wanted to see them climbing. Like, that's really what I wanted out of this habitat. And honestly, I think it was helpful to have kind of an expectation of that habitat, and it wasn't like a grandiose vision or anything like that. Like, it was a very simple, like, I want to see red pandas climbing around their habitat happily without being able to escape. So I was happy that I had, sunk it down so that I could accomplish more of that stuff. And then I went and I did rock decorations. What? Crazy talk. Who does rock decorations? I put rocks everywhere. So they didn't really need a large space to swim. Like, red pandas don't need space to swim. So I was kind of just trying to make this like a natural waterfall lake thing. It was kind of awkward, but at the same time I enjoyed doing it. So yeah, once we got there, and this was just one of those things where, like, oh, I can improve it this way, oh, I can improve it this way, oh, I can improve it this way, like, as I'm going. And like, every time I started working on it, there'd be something else that I wanted to work on or do or add or change or look slightly different. So that was a weird pause. This is sped up 8 times, and that was a significant pause. I don't remember why, but I'm gonna assume I left my computer. I adore how this came out. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still like, how did I manage to make this? So the bamboo, I think, is the only non-taiga plant in the zoo, and it's only in the red panda and giant panda habitats right now, and it wouldn't be a red panda or giant panda habitat without the bamboo. Like, realistically, like, that's what they eat. Like, that's almost all they eat is bamboo. So I felt like the plants were kind of a necessary option. And I enjoyed that I did the preset like wind turbine thing so that I could just plop it down and it was already fully decorated to 100%. I wish I had done that for the other things I needed, like the water cleaning thing. So now we're doing the part I was not very excited about doing, which is this cave and tunnel part. But I will say I am happy with how it ended up turning out. Again, I wish I'd gone with a bigger path. The 4-meter path is not big, especially if you want to add benches and educational things and lights and garbage cans and this, that, and the other thing. Like, I definitely should have gone with at least like a 6-meter. I think a 6-meter path is a good size path. Definitely should have gone with that. Even a 5-meter path, just that little bit bigger, would have been a lot nicer to have. Especially down here, it feels very, very cramped at this point. And then I add the roof, and it doesn't make it feel much better. No, but I have this preset that I made, and I can just plop it down wherever I need it, and it doesn't really give a penalty or anything. Like, it's a wind turbine, so it's not the range isn't as high as the generator, but it's a little easier to manipulate than the solar powered generator, because the solar powered one, if you block it, like you block it. You legit block it. But the wind turbine, you can get away with, like, I have it, like, it's very closed off. And I was honestly surprised it let me do that. I had done it in a practice in my building zoo where I literally just, like, practice building things. Like, that's all I do in it. And it works. And I was like, alright, cool. So those lights that you saw me place, I think are one of the very few like presets I'm actually using from the game. Like, the game actually made those light posts, and it ended up fitting what I was doing perfectly, so I didn't really feel the need to change it at all and make my own. Why fix what's not broken, you know? So we did that, and then I made a roof. And I did the groupie thing again, and I was proud of myself for doing the groupie thing. This would have been a pain. It would have been a pain in the butt had I not. Honest answer. Like, I would not have been able to like groups groups are your friends. And I realized how messed up my light placement was. Like, when you place things, you have to look at all angles, X, Y, and Z, in the fourth dimension. Like, you think it's lined up perfectly, and you change viewpoints, and it's totally different. Totally different. It's not at all where you think it is. So yeah, just if you're placing things like those light posts, or even like the rocks are a little easier because they're so big, but like the number of floating shit I have in this game sometimes is just asinine. It's asinine how easy it is to make things float in this game. Gravity and physics do not exist. They do not exist. And you would know that if you ever saw any of the animals try to climb a tree. So there's that. There's that fun fact. No, but like I said, I think to date, even some of the other builds in this zoo, I think this red panda one is my favorite. Like, the surrounding area, the habitat itself, the climbing frames, the staff, way in, like, I love all of it. The guest paths, the lighting, I really like it. I will say I do rely heavily on a type of light that I can sync it down past the path, and it creates this light. So it kind of ruins like the whole, well, where does this light come from kind of thing, but at the same time it gives it light, and it realistically, like, you wouldn't necessarily have the zoo open at night, so it's one of those situations. And so I decided to scratch like the whole river to the waterfall thing, and just, it is what it is. And I wanted this to be a spot where people could look in and see the red pandas as well, but also kind of have it more forested. And you saw me peek into the cave to make sure none of the rocks or plants or anything that I had placed like sunk through the top. Like, I'm actually being thorough, and I'm actually like filling in and giving ground cover. But so in the safari zoo, I used a type of tree, the candelabra tree. So here are some screenshots. Well, this is a video, obviously, it's moving water, but I really loved watching these guys. Like, I had quite a few, but they're using it, and they're climbing around, and they're being happy little pandas. And like I said, I did connect these to trees and stuff so they could climb up the trees and climb across and get to different parts of their habitat. And I just thought that was super cool, and I love it. I think this is one of my favorite shots, where I just got two of them going through and climbing on the climbing frame. Yeah, I'm super happy with how this turned out overall. Like, just super happy. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys, if you didn't watch the speed build part, I hope you enjoy the videos of the animals and the people going through the exhibit and the screenshots at the end. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.